Have you ever wondered why a certain time the family members seem to be loaded with a weight that is invisible, even when everything around you seems perfect? This is a Sunday morning is a tradition that, in theory, was supposed to symbolize the union, accessibility, and the celebration of It's the one day of the chair of the house is filled with colorful plates, scents, can't resist, and of laughter that seems to echo throughout the house. The Sunday lunch is often seen as a sacred moment, a chance to strengthen the bonds of showing affection, and also to ensure that those who are next to us. But when, on the back of the seeming harmony, there must be something more quiet and hard to understand, something that reveals the dynamics of exclusion that often goes under the radar, even for those who live in it. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised. Back to the table enough, the smiles and the family, there's an invisible layer of small actions and gestures which reveal so much more than they appear to. These are details that often seem insignificant, but they carry a message of deep value, belonging, and recognition. And the most important is that both of these actions are silent. They may be rooted in prejudices, hidden in the routine, and the eligibility of certain types of behaviors, and the way in which we treat each other day in and day out. The dynamic that we're going to explore right now reveals how the simple act of serving or fail to serve anyone at the time of the meal and can be transformed into a powerful symbol of exclusion. And it seems to be a defense of the innocent. How can you find someone else has already used, in fact, reinforces the logic of the invisible and undervaluation. Have you ever gone through something like that? Have you felt left out, and even without big words or confrontation? If the answer is yes, then you know that this is an issue that deserves attention, because these small actions carry a lot more meaning than you think. And over the course of this story, let's just think about what you really are behind each and every action, in every silence, every choice that will reveal who is really the top priority within our own family. Stay with me, because this story still has a lot to teach us about our own relationships and what you can do to change that. If you can identify with this story or have felt any connection to listen to the details, I want to invite you to leave here in the comments on what you played. Which one was the more aroused in his thinking? Your feedback is vital for us to create a space for the exchange of sincere, and in my point of view, where everyone can feel comfortable sharing their experiences and lessons learned. In addition, if the contents of it made sense to you, don't leave it to like the video. It helps others to build the community, showing that it is an important and deserves to be discussed more and more and more. And if you want to continue with stories that touch each other, ideas that inspire you, and the content that makes the difference, please subscribe to the channel. Your being here is what makes this channel grow, and to reach more people and spread a message of greatest importance. After all, together we can create a network of support, empathy, and transformation, where each story has the power to affect positive change in the lives of others. So, keep with us. We've still got a lot of discoveries and emotions in through the front, and I want very much to working with you on this journey. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth which is hidden by the back of our own decisions, that often is the one that determines the impact we can make in our lives and in those around us. Many times we are so focused on results, to achieve goals, that we forget to look at the inside, the one that really drives us. And there you have it. Without realizing it, we end up stuck in a cycle of behaviors, automatic, powered by the limiting beliefs that we have provided for the children and for the experiences that are, in some way, help to shape our view of the world. These beliefs act as filters and much more valuable than they do to our perception of reality, and prevent us from seeing the possibilities that are right in front of our eyes, just waiting for you to have the courage to open our eyes to them. The great thing is that too often our choices are influenced by those of the truths that are hidden, that if you become a real interior. We have decided not to take action for fear of failure, or believe that we will not be able to change it, because someone else has told us that it was not for us. And that inner voice, which is often a mixture of insecurity, guilt, or doubt, and it ends up creating a sort of invisible wall between us and what we could be. But what few realize is that this narrative can be overridden at any time. And that's where the processing and the time to question this is the story that we tell ourselves, and to understand where it came from, and, especially, to decide if we want to continue to live in accordance with it, or if it's time to create a new narrative, one that is more in tune with our deepest desires. When you immerse yourself in the process of self-awareness, we can begin to see beyond the surface. We are able to realize a look behind the scenes of our minds. Those are the areas that are to remain hidden, in which you live to our greatest potential and our biggest fears. And when you find them, you can start to work with it in a conscious way in order to dismantle the beliefs that sabotage. This is a journey that requires courage, yes, because a lot of times it means to confront the things that we'd rather ignore, our own limits, self-imposed, and the stories we tell about what we can or can't do, and all the excuses that we use to justify our comfort zone. But at the same time, it's liberating, because it is this vulnerability that we find the true power to change over time. In its quest for authenticity, we find that the impact we can make is not only in great things, but also in the way we choose to react to adversity. When we fail to understand that our choices are shaped by a combination combination of factors, both internal and external, we have a bit more control over them. From the moment we change our mindset, our actions will also change. And there you have it. Even in the face of obstacles, we were able to keep the focus on you because we see beyond the immediate problem, and we connect you with the most comprehensive, more in tune with our inner selves. To change this, the vision is the one that really makes all the difference, and it is the one that transforms into a routine with resistance in the journey of the growth of consciousness. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the real change happens when we stop seeking. The answers are ready, and as we begin to explore our own questions, it is at this point that, for the first time, they see the powerful come to you, often in order to be silent, but the impact will be long-lasting. When we allow ourselves to listen to the most sincere, deep within us, we begin to realize that the transformation is not something that is external, but to an internal evolution that continues. And this development, in turn, influences all around us, creating a domino effect that can break lives, our communities, and even the world. Every decision you make, from a new understanding, it becomes a seed for change and an opportunity to positively impact not only our history, but it's also the one who accompanies us on this journey. And at the same time, you learn to appreciate the process because we know that with every step, however small it may seem, it is an essential part of a big jigsaw puzzle that we are putting together. In this connection, the purpose becomes the fuel that feeds our motivation on a daily basis, reinforcing the idea that the understanding of our own hidden truths, we can create a reality that's more aligned with who we really are, and that in itself is a breakthrough. If the story resonates in some way inside of you, here's a suggestion to put in a word or phrase in the comments of something that represents your quest for self-knowledge, for transformation, and the discovery of the truth to hide it. After all, this is a journey that is made up of many small steps, and you recognize what I have at the moment. It's the first one. I now want to go more in depth on this topic that we are exploring, because a lot of times, the real change happens when we are able to see beyond the surface, when we begin to question what you've been taught, and to investigate the components are hidden in our own mind. This is a journey of self-discovery, transformation. This is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle in which each piece reveals a part of our history, of our beliefs, and the boundaries that you might not think that there are. And it is precisely at this point that comes to the importance of looking within, and with an attitude of curiosity, the courage, the will to find out what's really behind our choices and our feelings and emotions. When we begin to uncover the hidden truth that we have, we realize that many of our actions and our reactions to it are shaped by something that has been learned or experienced in life, experiences that have left a deep mark, and often without notice. These marks often become limiting beliefs that prevent us from moving forward, to try out new features, or to really get to know who we are, in fact. And then, when you do this exercise auto-confronto, we can see that a lot of times we are stuck in a kind of routine mental. So where is the fear of change? Or to face up to the fact prevents us to put an end to the most exciting course to our very freedom. This is one of the great revelations that come when you begin to explore the behind the scenes of our mind, to the understanding of the transformative power of it, is, above all, in his or her ability to decide what we're going to feed and what we will leave behind. After all of the impact that the decision may have on our life depends on our attitude in front of her. If you remain in your comfort zone, it's like we are feeding the illusion of stability, even though you know that this stability is only an appearance, a facade that hides the deeper reality of the dissatisfaction of the doldrums. But when we look beyond that, to question one's own limitations, it is as if you opened up a door to a new world of possibilities. Over the course of the journey, many of the revelations that have come to the fore, some of which might scare off other birds, a hope, a silent that there is something more, something greater, just waiting to be discovered. It is at this point that, for the transformation really happens when you decide to take action, even in the presence of fear, and not have to have all the answers. This is a movement of courage. That is, we begin to uncover the truth hidden behind the choices we make, and we understand that change is not something that is external, but it's a built-in, which is reflected in our attitude, in our minds, and in our willingness to face up to what is necessary in order to evolve. All of this leads us to understand that the journey of self-discovery is not a straight path, not the easy. It requires persistence, patience, and above all, an attitude of openness to the new. It's like a kind of alchemy, the emotional. And where do we turn our grief into learning experiences, our fears, on the strength of our questions clearly? And it is in continuous transformation, which we find out the true impact that it does not only change our history, but it also has an impact on those around us, creating a string of chances that goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. As we move forward in the process, it becomes more and more clear that it is the truth that is hidden. He is often inside us. And you know that's true. It is one of the greatest gifts we can receive in this life. Because of that, we can begin to understand that we are the main characters of our story, are capable of rewriting the script at any time, as long as you have the courage to look at what really matters to you. And in that moment of revelation, we see that the impact of this finding goes beyond the individual. It echoes the way we see the world in a list and create a new reality in which authenticity and freedom go hand in hand. And it is with this understanding that is deeper than it is, of course, that the whole of the transformation begins in our minds and in our hearts, and that every choice we make is like a seed planted in the garden, which, over time, it blooms into a life more in tune with who you really are. And so the journey continues and is always revealing layers and layers of truth that they're there, in silence, waiting for the right moment to be found. And in the meantime, the US continues to learn, grow, and adjust the look and the attitude, because you know that the biggest impact of the change in terms of how it makes us see ourselves more clearly, more love, and a genuine desire to improve. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation happens not only with the actions of the surface or changes in the fast lane. She was born out of an understanding over the years, a genuine connection with what we are, and we want it to. And in this journey of self-discovery, a lot of times we are faced with truths that are hidden, that we have, the ones that you prefer to hide it, you know? Maybe out of fear, for doubt, and with a little ashamed to admit that behind all of this facade of confidence, there is a feeling of insecurity silent, who dares to challenge us at every turn. It is at this point that things start to make sense of. To understand the impact of the change is not only to achieve the objectives in the external, but more importantly, changing our mind, our thought patterns, and our decisions are more profound. When you start to look into the courage, she realizes that many of the beliefs that we carry have been shaped by the experiences of the past, by the opinions of others, because of expectations that don't always reflect who you really are. And there you have it. The big reveal comes. A lot of times you'll see the version of ourselves that we has been built up by the other, and a mask that used to please you in order to avoid conflicts, or simply because of a belief that it was the best I could get at the time. But it's the true transformation requires a break on that front, with a relation, which leads us to see ourselves and more honest and compassionate. This is a journey of self-discovery. No matter how challenging it may be, it is also liberating. It's like uncovering behind the scenes of a play where for a very long time, we have been part of a script that wasn't written by us. And when you realize their true motivations, their fears that we will lock, and the passion that we explore for the fear of failure, and it starts to gain a whole new meaning. At this point, it is clear that the impact is more profound happens when we decide to actually take control of our story, even if it means confronting what scares us or challenges us. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic, because of this change in perspective is often uncovers a truth that hides it, which is there, right under our noses, waiting for it to be recognized. And the truth is that most of the time, we are responsible for what we experience. Our choices, our actions, our daily choices shape the impact that we have on our own lives and that of others. And when you understand it, and we believe that's true, transformation requires a shift in mindset, with a constant evolution that puts you in the role of protagonists rather than a victim of circumstances. It is a journey of self-discovery, where every little decision, every reflection, honest, and takes us to a whole new level of understanding and awareness. In addition to that, this day is also encompassed by the revelations, which often comes from where you least expect it. Behind the scenes of our history, the details of which we will note you with the most attention, the signs of which before they ignored it, it all adds up to a broader view of the impact that our actions have on the world around us. And once you understand those behind the scenes, we begin to see more clearly how some minor changes to the internal can generate the revolutions of the outside. Because, at heart, a true transformation comes from a change in the attitude of a mindset that becomes the value of the what really matters to you, letting go of the distractions that take us away from our purpose. And this is where it comes to the power of the conscious decisions that we give you the chance to rewrite the script of our lives and to make choices that are aligned with our true nature. Every decision is a step in the direction of the evolution of a movement that is further reinforces our commitment to becoming better versions of ourselves. And this in turn affects everything around us, our relationships, our accomplishments, and our happiness. The more we connect with the truth that is hidden, the more we realize that it's the true transformation is a journey into the inner, on a journey of discovery that never ends, as well as taking it to new heights of growth. And so, the story goes, revealing the layers of their hidden, inviting us to reflect on the impact of our choices, and the courage to move forward even in the face of the unknown. Because in the back, the big revelation is that each and every one of us is an agent of change. It can change your reality when you uncover your own truth and to act in accordance with them. And in that discovery by itself is a victory that should be celebrated. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because they understand that we are the agents of change is not only an idea away. What is the pattern for motivational speaking? This is a genuine internal revolution, a transformation that begins in the way that we do, our decisions and our everyday actions and the impact they have on the universe around us. When you realize that the truth is hidden, the one that often remains hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, or even during a routine is automated, it can be revealed revealed by us in the same, it changes everything in perspective. It is as if a curtain has to be lifted up, leaving you at the sight of a new world of possibilities. And it's that journey of discovery that we can begin to understand that our choices are not random, but is a reflection of a mindset that we have cultivated over the long term. Each and every decision, however small it may seem, it bears a huge impact on me. This is because when you unfold the truths themselves, we begin to recognize the patterns that before went unnoticed. These standards, often in the trap, in cycles of dissatisfaction, of a stagnation, and the key to breaking these chains are just the courage to confront what is real to us. Courage, in turn, is supported by a more in-depth understanding of the impact that our actions have on our own account, in the way that we build our identities. When you immerse yourself in the behind the scenes of our mind, we can begin to understand that there is a real internal struggle between what we want, what we believe to be possible, and the things that you fear, or convention, we have to accept as the truth is definite. In this battle, it is often invisible to the external. That is, the stage where it critically occurs, the transformation. The more we connect with the truth that is hidden, the stronger it is. Our ability to make informed choices, to reprogram the patterns, and creating a new reality that is aligned with who we truly are on the inside. And, in this connection, the fact, however, revealed something amazing. It frees us from the burden of the expectations of external stakeholders. When we act according to our own beliefs, let it be hostage to the opinions of others or to the face of social pressures. This is an autonomy of thought. It is, in fact, one of the greatest forms of empowerment that you can try out. It's as if, when you discover the truth, you also see the power of the influence of the environment around us, whether it is in her professional life, dealing with people, or even in our daily lives. This influence, which seemed to be far away or out of reach, and if it becomes a natural extension of the mindset that is aligned to and go on a journey of self-discovery and true. And it is precisely at this point that we began to realize that the transformation is not a one-off event, but a solid construction. With each step taken in the direction of the truth reveals a new layer of understanding and new areas of our lives. It can be fine-tuned and new ways to positively impact the people around you. This is a journey of self-discovery, which seems to intimate, turns out to be the bridge that connects our inner world to the external effect, creating a downward spiral of growth and development. And, if you notice this trend, it is clear that the real power lies in the decision to continue to explore the deepest within the self, the courage to face your own truth, and the desire to transform every aspect of our lives on the basis of it. Right now, it's important to understand that the search for authenticity of it often requires a dose of courage to be that it's not always easy to find. After all, letting go of some deep-seated beliefs or to accept uncomfortable truths, it's a process that requires emotional strength and the willingness to reinvent yourself each and every day. But, at the same time, this is the only way to truly evolve, to overcome the limitations that have been imposed upon them by a narrow view of the world. The further we go along this journey, the more we realize that, in essence, it all comes down to a matter of self-acceptance and a willingness to embrace our own truth, even if it is different from what we expected or what we were told to believe it. And, in this context, we can see that real change comes not from the outside in, but from an inner transformation, which is reflected in the way we look at life, our decisions, and the way we interact with the world around us. Each of conscious choice, each and every step of courage is in the direction of what you truly believe. It strengthens that connection with all of our experiences and improves the impact we can make. This is the true magic of the journey, is to find the strength to change the reality of it is, first of all, deep within us, in going to give up and embrace our own truth. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because they understand that the connection between our decision-making and self-transformation is like uncovering a secret that many of you carry on without realizing it. The truth hides behind of the impact that we make on the world and starts off just the way we choose to see ourselves and our possibilities. When you stop to think about what we do, we realize that each and every one of them is a seed that is planted in the soil of our lives, and what we heard then, it is directly dependent on what you eat there. This understanding opens the door to a kind of inner journey, where you have to have the courage to face your own limitations, and of the questions that often seem to be the biggest of the which we wish to move forward. In this process, the mind plays a very important role. It's such a filter is to recognize that shapes our decisions and our own reactions to and the analysis of the impact we can make. A mindset of scarcity, for example, causes us to see obstacles, only opportunities in disguise, making it hard for our ability to take action. Already have a mindset of abundance allows us to see opportunities even in the most adverse circumstances, waking up the courage to try, to risk, to reinvent themselves. It's a shift of perspective, which very often, it requires a genuine internal revolution, a conscious effort to reprogram your mind to believe in your own power to make a difference. At the same time, this transformation also involves the acceptance of a sincere truth. Too often, we carry face masks, outside expectations, or even a certain strength to that which you really are. And here comes the importance of unraveling those behind the scenes means to internal understanding of what's behind our seemingly small choices. Each and every decision, no matter how simple it may seem, is but a reflection of the universe's emotions, beliefs, and stories that we have provided for the children that have been built up over time. To recognize this is a step to a powerful, because it gives us the freedom to rewrite the script. We are not victims of our circumstances, but the authors are aware of the narrative that we can change each and every day. This is a journey of self-discovery, is a kind of continuous revelation, where we will be discovering the layers of ourselves that before were hidden. And when you do that, you start to realize that change doesn't have to be something big or dramatic. Many of the times, it is in the little things, the decisions of day to day to maintain a stance that is more positive, to choose the most kind and gentle. You can afford to make mistakes and to learn from their own mistakes. With each step, the conscious act of courage will strengthen the bridge between who we are and who we can become. And, in the process, and the impact that we leave on the world becomes a natural extension of our hospitality. The truth is that when we align our actions with our lives, it all takes on a new meaning. The transformation is no longer a distant goal, to become in a constant state of renewal. And this renewal is powered by an open-mindedness, by a willingness to look beyond the obvious, explore behind the scenes of your own inner universe. It's as if, when you delve more deeply into the beliefs and emotions, and discover a hidden potential that was always there, just waiting for a chance to flourish. And, in doing so, we realize that we are not alone in this journey, and that every decision in life is an important factor in the construction of a reality that is more in alignment with our deepest values. In the end, this understanding leads us to a crucial point, the turn of the impact that we want to deliver. It's not just to do something, but to become someone who does not live in accordance with their principles, which is inspired by an example, which seeks to constantly evolve. This is a journey of self-transformation, where every choice is an opportunity for you to tell truth and to strengthen our connection with our potential to be true. And so, we went ahead with the assurance that they have the greatest impact happens first in the US, the courage to develop and embrace our true essence. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the big decisions in times of crisis. It is built in the most of the time, in detail, to the extent that a lot of people let it go unnoticed, as the small everyday choices, which taken together, constitute a radical change in our way of thinking. This is where the game really changes, and that's when we begin to understand that every action, every thought, every reaction has a direct impact on the quality of our journey of self-discovery. This revelation is like a key that unlocks the doors which before seemed to be closed off, revealing the possibilities that were hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. The truth is hidden behind this change is that, too often, we are caught up in a cycle of auto-sabotage and is powered by a limiting belief and in a rather distorted view of who you are. These beliefs act as filters in much the invisible that shape our choices, our emotions, and even our relationships. And try as we might to change the external, the thing that really makes the difference is the change in its internal structure, to rebuild our way of thinking. When we begin to question what they believe to be in our truth is the definitive, we have opened up space for new possibilities to a wider range and more in tune with who you really are. This is the journey of transformation, is about having the courage, but because it challenges everything that we have been taught to accept as the truth, but it also requires a dose of curiosity and a willingness to explore the behind the scenes of our minds and to understand the mechanisms that cause us to act in a certain way, and of course, learn how to reprogram them ourselves. It is a process of rewriting, in which each chapter is a conscious decision to get rid of old habits and embrace a more authentic self. And this liberation is not an act, but a steady practice of mindfulness. The autocompexon and engagement grow. When you immerse yourself in the universe of possibility, you start to realize that our actions have an impact going far beyond what we can imagine. Every decision that we make reverberates with the power of our self-worth in the way in which we relate to the world around us. This leads to a more in-depth understanding of what are the main protagonists of our story, and that, when we assume this responsibility, we create a narrative of the life that is aligned with our dreams in the most sincere. Transformation, then, there would be something far away or out of reach, and it turns out to be a reality, breathing, present in each of your day-to-day. However, this path is not linear, nor is freedom from any obstacles. Many of the times we are faced with doubts, insecurities, and even the implications that seem like they are trying to get us out of the spotlight. That's what's important. It is to maintain a genuine connection with the purpose, to recognize that with every step, no matter how small, it's part of a larger process of evolution. In this connection, it is what sustains us when the winds seem to be contrary to it, and reminds us that true strength lies in the perseverance, the willingness to start over again whenever you need to, without losing sight of the core closer to the truth. And in the process, we discover that the truth is the most powerful. It is within us, hidden under layers of fear, the doubts, and the expectations of others. When we first started to explore this universe and the inner, and the revelations come in a natural way, as it is an eye-opener, quiet, and a light that illuminates the path of what seemed to be a dark and confusing at best. And it is at this point that we realize that the transformation is not a final destination, but a continuous journey of self-discovery, from the ever-expanding, and where each and every small victory, it strengthens our self-confidence and encourages a desire to explore even more deeply to who we really are. For this reason, the search for authenticity, and if it becomes a daily practice, a commitment to the truth that beats within each and every one of us. This is not an external change that can be seen by others, but it is a great message, one that occurs in the soul, the mind, and the heart. And to nurture that inner connection, we can begin to understand the impact that our choices are our own history, our own happiness, and our ability to create a life more in tune with our higher purpose. It is a change that begins from the inside to the outside, a revolution of the mind which once started, it never stops evolving. And then you realize that, deep down, it all comes down to one decision: to choose to be the protagonist of your own life, and to embrace the truth that makes us vibrate it, and above all, to trust in the power that we need to create our own reality. This is the culmination of a journey of transformation, a journey that requires patience, strength, courage, and above all, self-love. Because at the end of the day, the greatest change happens when we learn to love ourselves in our inner selves, with all our imperfections, all of our full potential have not yet been explored. And in so doing, we open the doors to a new age of freedom, authenticity, and real impact on the life we are building more every day. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation is not something that happens from one hour to the other. It is an ongoing process, a journey of self-discovery, where every decision, every reflection, every little step, and contributes to the creation of a new version of yourself. And this is a new version for many times. It arises from within, like a seed that has been planted with the intention of and taken care of, and that over time, it begins to put forth, show off to your roots, and to get stronger in the face of adversity. In this way, it is important to understand that many of our limitations, which are deep-seated beliefs and standards in automatic, have been built up over the years because of external influences, past experiences, or even to him that we have learned to do it again without question. And when you understand it, we are invited to look more closely at what's really on the limit, so what's stopping us from moving forward with more lightness and authenticity. In this scenario, a revelation that is known to transform the journey of many people, it is the understanding of the longer-lasting impact comes from the inside out. No point in trying to change the world, or in the external environment if the home is still stuck in the thoughts of doubt, fear, or this makes. True freedom comes when you decide to take control of our emotions, our decisions, and above all, of the narrative of the inside. It's like, all of a sudden, we realize that we all have the power to rewrite the story we tell about ourselves by deleting these lines, automatic for I am not able, I don't deserve it, or I will always be that way. And at this point, the mind begins to turn. It is no longer an obstacle. It becomes our best ally. In this new perspective, we can see the difficulties as insurmountable barriers, but as an opportunity for growth, learning, and empowerment. Each challenge becomes an invitation to explore our own potential and discover a new skill, and especially to learn how to rely more on our own journey. It is a movement of self-confidence, which does not arise out of nowhere, but it's growing day by day, and with small efforts and informed choices that strengthen our belief that we are all able to move forward, to grow, and to get what you really want. At the same time, this transformation is not something that is isolated. It has no impact on the behind the scenes of our lives, is often invisible even to ourselves. It is as if a new narrative is being written behind the curtains, casting choices, and open up pathways that before seemed to be closed. In the process, we learned how to make the most of what we have to recognize our own strengths, and how to understand that the real power lies in our ability to choose the direction they want to go. This change in the interior echoes in our relationship with the world, and our daily decisions in a way in which we relate to the people, and even in the way we view the obstacles that will arise along the way. And, as you explore such scenes, we have found that many of our limitations are, in fact, a reflection of a distorted view of reality, which we from time to time. The truth is hidden. It is that we are much more capable than we think, and that is the biggest obstacle is often in your head. When we are able to break through those mental blocks, we can begin to see possibilities where before you could only see the difficulties. It is a transformation process that takes courage, because a lot of times we need to face our own fears, and to question our certainties, and to accept that in order to evolve, you need to get out of your comfort zone. But in the output, no matter how challenging it may be, it is also the path to true freedom that comes from within that makes us feel more alive, more real, more connected to your purpose. All of this is, in essence, it is a matter of decision-making. The decision to take the next step, embrace change, accept that the process is a long one, but every step, however small it may seem to you, it's a win-win. It is a commitment to the evolution of a daily choice to prioritize self-love and, above all, take care of our lives, and to honor those who who are, in fact. Because, at the end of this journey of transformation, is about much more than achieving a goal that is external. It is an internal revolution that transformed the way we see life. We interact with people and have an impact on the world around us. And, while doing so, our story continues to be written, and full of revelations, discoveries, and the small victories that, taken together, make up a mosaic of a life more full, more aware, and more in tune with the truth. With each step taken in this way, brings us closer to an authenticity that before, and it seemed to be unreachable. It is in the motion of the continuous improvement that we found the meaning of transformation to realize that we are the protagonists of our own story, with the power to make it a story of love, courage, and the impact is a positive one. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is exactly the essence of this journey. You will often find the highest price. The transformation does not occur merely by outward actions, or by the change of the surface. It is, in a way, as our way of thinking and adjust in the face of these challenges, doubts, and even the moments of silence and introspection. It is in that silence that is the real difference begins to take shape, and where the truth is hidden, often hidden by the layers of insecurity and fear, come to the fore. And that truth, when discovered, it has the power to set off a chain of decisions that shape not only who we are, but who we can become. The daily routine, for example, often causes us to forget that, for each choice, as small as it may seem, it is a very important part in the construction of this new story. How do you deal with failure, with any questions, or even if you have the small victories of the day-to-day reveals much more than you think about our inner power and strength. The great thing is, a lot of times, when we are so absorbed in the rat race in search for fast results, or in the external validation, that we forget to look within, to question whether we are truly aligned with who you want to be. This is where it comes to the concept of authenticity, which is nothing more nor less than the courage to take on their own journey, even if it is full of ups and downs. And at the same time, it's this authenticity that puts us in front of a long line of decisions that will challenge our deepest beliefs. Decisions that may seem small, but they carry the burden of a huge impact, because it is they who dictate the pace of our growth, emotional, and mental well-being. Every action, every word, every silence settled over the intentions, and tell you how much we are willing to hear the truth and turn our limitations into opportunities for development. All of this is, of course, requires a certain courage, since a lot of the times, it is more comfortable to remain in your comfort zone, where everything is predictable and controlled, even if the predictability is an error that prevents us from reaching the next level. What makes it so fascinating is that when you explore these behind the scenes to internal, you start to realize that real change doesn't need to be a revolution from one day to the other. It is an everyday, made up of small actions, aware of the choices that strengthen our brand new mindset. And in doing so, we can begin to deconstruct the idea of success and happiness depend on external factors, such as the circumstances or the opinions of others. In fact, such a transformation are intrinsically linked to our ability to look within, to understand our own emotions, our deepest desires, and most of all, accepting of who we are in all of our complexity. This is the journey of the self, which often leads us to confront the hidden truths. It also reveals the impact that our choices have on the world around us. When we begin to act in a manner more in tune with our inner selves, we automatically have inspired those who are at our side. Also, seek their own authenticity. It is as if it is a string, an invisible transformation spread, touching lives in ways you can't even imagine. And even in the face of all this, the most important thing is to recognize that this journey is not linear. It is filled with lots of ups and downs, moments of doubt, and the amazing discoveries. And it's just such a mix of emotions that makes it all so real, so human, so filled with potential for real change. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the point that many people miss, or even worse, give up. The truth hides behind all of this process of transformation is that it requires persistence and daily, with a provision of reinventing itself. It is not enough to just want change. You have to act with intention, with a mind open to learning from your own mistakes, and most of all, the courage to face that we would prefer to leave hidden. That courage, however, is what is the difference between those who truly want to develop for those of you who only dreams of a better life, but he does not dare to take the steps that are required. The authenticity of that which we seek is not something that you find you ready, or what is being delivered as a gift. It is a building with a mosaic formed by the choices we make are more aware, through small actions that enhance our lives and the moments of insight that we can connect with what really matters to you. And, to keep that connection alive, we start to realize that the transformation is a journey of self-discovery, where every decision is an opportunity to reaffirm who we are and who we can become. That's the beauty of all of this. You realize that at the end of the day, it is we who are the main characters of this history. It can be a narrative of love, bravery, and the impact that resonates far beyond our own lives. And at this point, thinking that it is always the same. How can we use this understanding to strengthen your journey, even in the face of adversity? How to turn every obstacle into an opportunity for growth? These questions remain up in the air, waiting for each and every one of us. You will find the answers within in yourself. The truth is, in essence, is that this journey of transformation is in every decision we make, every moment of courage to be that we live in, even if that fear still you try to hold us back. Because at the end of the day, the impact is more profound happens when you decide to look into it with honesty, and we are rewriting our history in this inner truth. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because I really connected with the idea of the transformation that we've discussed over the video." And this is a journey that is unique for each and every one, but it's the most important thing is to keep the desire to evolve, to learn, and to move on, even though sometimes the way it looks complicated. If it all made sense to you, just leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end of love." Therefore, we are unable to change an idea to make this connection, is what we are building here. Oh, and of course, if that kind of content is brought a lot of insight, or did you think about it in a different way, leave your like is a way of showing that such a conversation, it makes sense to you and what you want to learn more about this topic. And if you like what you've seen so far, there's a video right here on the side that complements the conversation. You click on it, and it keeps me out there, because there's always something new to discover and to evolve. The idea is that this is a journey of self-discovery and growth for a light, steady, and full of discovery. So, stay with me, there's more good stuff coming, and I want to walk beside you in the process.